we go. So we have been doing this a while. Some of you, this is your first round reviewing proposals with us. Others have been with us since 2015. In that time, we've reviewed over 1,300 grant proposals. I need to do a proper count. And we've engaged over, it's actually over we have over 1,760 people in our system as evaluators. So they were either manually added or they filled out the evaluator form at some point. Generally, we have a few hundred participate each round. We have 450 confirmed evaluators this round, which is the most we've ever had. That's largely due to the fact that we've had 100 new folks join us over the summer. There's been a lot of interest in reviewing proposals with us this year. There's been some turbulence and some chaos in the funding world, whether it's healthcare funding or international development funding or funding, really any kind of funding. Funding's always been kind of difficult. We've always been a very useful program, but our impact is kind of heightened this year, which is great that you're here. You've got an opportunity to advise nonprofits at a critical time. We've been at this for 10 years as well. And in general, we've made lots of improvements to the round. Generally, our improvements are based on evaluator feedback. Because of that, we have a pretty high satisfaction rate from the evaluators. A couple of the changes we made this round, are the direct result of things evaluators are telling us, and hopefully that'll make the review experience better for you this round. I'm pretty excited about them, in particular, in an effort to allow you to focus your feedback. We've written a new question set. So I'll show you in a moment. We'll go over the new questions, and I can share. We have a Google Doc. It's just a list of the questions. So these are prompts that we ask. When you received the link from us last week and you went to look at your assignments, you'll see information about the proposal on the left, a link to review the proposal at the bottom of the screen on the left, and on the right is the form for you to fill out to leave your helpful and candid comments. You don't have to respond to every prompt. So if you if every prompt is important to you, right? If you have something to say to every single one, by all means, use them all. And many evaluators do. But if you're not really much of a finance person and you want to skip the finance section, go ahead, skip it. The proposal will be read by a lot of different kinds of folks. So there will be finance people on there that can cover that. You can focus on the areas that you're more comfortable reviewing. Some folks just focus on the broad questions. So the first question is, what are your overall impressions? The last question is, what are your recommendations? What are your next steps for this group, right? If you just want to answer those two questions and skip the more specific prompts, you can do that. You can either write NA and it will automatically gray out now, or you can click skip and it'll gray out. Then we won't include that prompt in your commentary for that proposal. It's going to save me a lot of time administratively and hopefully allow the evaluators to focus up on their feedback. Yeah. So this is our system. This is my profile. I've got a couple extra tabs up here. Yours will just say your assignments, and if you want to donate to us, that's appreciated. Not required to review though. Your assignments will be listed right here. I've assigned some proposals to myself for example here. And then if you want to read all of the proposals that we're reviewing, we have 100 proposals. They're all listed here. And in fact, we list these. This is the proposal. This is the organization. This is what they're fundraising for. And then this is where they applied as well. And, sometimes there's a link to the RFP. They've supplied that as well. Lots of different kinds of programs all over the world. Different sized organizations applying to different kinds of funding programs. This is a unique opportunity here. Often when you're reviewing proposals, you're reviewing the same kind of proposal over and over again. Key thing to remember with us, all of these proposals are from different organizations and many of them applied to different funders. Some of them to the same funder, but we'll get into that in a moment. So just to show you the prompts you'll be responding to. This is our new setup here. This is one of the proposals that came in from Maine. Olympia Snow was our senator for a long time. And when she left, she started a nonprofit that does women's leadership programs in high schools throughout the state. And they applied to TD Bank, which is a bank that funds in schools. Pretty good fit, I think. We'll see what kind of feedback we get for the institute. But folks who got to say, if this was assigned to you and you clicked on it, you go here, right? You read, you can go to the website and look at the RFP. That should get you ready to review, read about what they say about their organization, right? What kind of fundraising they're doing. They give you a little background about the proposal. They tell you who wrote the proposal, how much experience they have with fundraising, whether or not they've gotten feedback, what it was. Usually they haven't had any feedback. That's generally why they come to us. But sometimes they've received some feedback from the funder and they share that with us, and that can be helpful for us to see. And then, of course, you click the link here that takes you to the proposal. If you're having trouble with this link, email me. I'll email you the proposal so you can read it. But usually this link will work for pretty much everybody. Once you've read the proposal and you're ready to make your comments, here we go. These are the new questions. If you don't see the new questions, I recommend refreshing your page or your cache or something, especially if you're a reviewer from the previous round. You might take a while for it to update for you. My apologies there. But most of you should be seeing the new questions. We have several sections. They are overall impressions, the application section, goals. This is a new section that we've added this round. The idea section, the idea presented in the proposal, collaboration, organization, budget, sustainability. Yeah, so that collaboration section is I'm not sure why that's still there. It's collaboration, networks, and inclusivity. Ongoing technical issues here. It's a lot of prompts, and again, no one has to respond to all of the prompts. Our goal with these prompts is to cover all of the types of things that come up with a proposal. And I think a lot of the folks who review with us, when they review, like as they're reading the budget section, they'll be like, I have a few notes on that. You can find the budget section, and respond to our two prompts based on the quality of the budget and whether or not you feel there's alignment. If you have a comment that you don't feel fits in any one of these prompts, generally we've got this one, the first one right here. What are your overall impressions? Feel free to write in there. There are no comment limits, character limits to any of these. Over the years, we found that these generally source really helpful and useful commentary. In particular, of note, if you've reviewed with us in the past, this is the main news section, which was, again, a lot of evaluators asked for this. These are 3 new questions based on the goals in the proposal. We were getting a lot of commentary on goals, even though we weren't asking for it, and that's in there. Another new question that we did debut last round, and went very well, and we're keeping it in here, is, do you have any comments or suggestions that are more for the funder than for the proposal author? So if you're reading the RFP and you think the question's confusing, or if you have a criticism or a comment or something that's actually more about what the funder did, feel free to write that here. We won't always be able to actually pass that on to the funder, but that is going to be useful for the proposal author to see. And sometimes we do know the funder. In the case of our partnerships, that's actually a big part of it, is for them to get feedback and for them to improve what they're doing as well. Fundamentally, it's all a learning opportunity. This process is designed for you to be able to read proposals, learn about new funding programs, and then share your thoughts about them using the comment boxes provided. If you don't like, let's say you don't want to comment on the quality of you don't have anything to say here, you can just hit skip, and it won't include that question, right? And you can, if you accidentally, you can unskip it, it'll bring it back in, right? Hopefully that allows you to focus in your feedback, leave some good, helpful, useful commentary, and they will have fewer sort of fluff comments that are like see above, or I wrote this before, or NA, or whatever. Focus in on the sections you want, write as much as you want, about those sections, and try to lean on your strengths and your personal experiences. I'm going to go back to. I think I can go to yes. Back to share this tab instead. Yeah, there we go. Back to my outline here. So yeah, those are the main new things this round are our new question set, which hopefully provides you some great opportunities to give some useful feedback to some folks. You can skip questions that you do not like. In the past, a big part of my job was removing NAs. Like, I think the most common comment that we got was NA or non-applicable. And so now those will be automatically removed and I won't have to like manually do it at the end. It's hopefully going to be a very big time saver and allow for crisper, more focused reports. All right. So these are some universal tips for being a helpful and candid reviewer, especially if you're a first-time proposal reviewer. Every round, there's always one of you. It's your first time, and you send me an email. And generally, it's you're like, oh, I'm not sure if I'm qualified, or I don't know what to, I want to tell them this, but I'm not sure if I'm being mean. Like, it's just sort of comes down to shyness for me. We go to great lengths to make sure these folks know that they have opted in for feedback. So you're not just randomly picking on them, right? They have asked you to read it and provide critical commentary. And I'm going to read the comments. Maybe a couple people internally here will read them. But the only people that are going to see it are the folks that work at the organization. We don't publish your comments online. It's not public, right? So what they've asked you to do is share your thoughts. So don't be shy about that. But at the same time, be helpful and candid. Keep those words in your mind, right? Don't beat around the bush, right? If you don't like something, say so. If you like something, say it. Try to make your things helpful. Give suggestions if you have good ideas. Extend to them the benefit of the doubt. As I said before, as we saw on the list, they are from all over the world. They're at different levels of experience. They've applied to different programs. What you see may look like they did something wrong. Don't assume they did it wrong. Maybe point it out and say, hey, what I saw was this. I'm not sure if you did that right or whatever. Keep an eye out. Don't just be like, don't assume too much when you're reading. Try to focus on what you can see, what's there. And if there was information you wanted to know, write that down. Be like, I was curious about this, this aspect of the program. I wanted to hear more about that sort of thing. I think a big part of, let's see. I think a really useful thing to do as an evaluator is to share your own background. We will give a little bit about you in each review, right? It'll be your name and some of the information you gave us when you signed up, right? To give some background about you so they can understand where you're coming from with your review. But feel free to write more in your comments. Some of the most helpful comments I've seen have been along the lines of, I used to fundraise for a similar organization and we were having trouble doing this. And then we changed how we approached grant proposals and we started doing it this way. And that really was very successful for us. Those comments sort of jump out of the report. They end up, they're usually the topic of in the report discussions afterwards. And that ends up being often the stuff that actually gets acted on. That's just a generally good principle for public speaking as well, right? Give your background, explain where you're coming from when you're making a point. It'll make that point more compelling. And if a lot of you are grants professionals, have many decades of experience with grants. Like I said before, extend the benefit of the doubt to them, but also don't be shy about pointing out fundamentals, right? If it looks like they did something fundamentally wrong, right, point it out to them. Don't do it in an accusatory fashion, but make it clear. Lots of folks, and especially if you see in their information that this is their first time writing a proposal, right? They don't necessarily know all the unwritten rules, right? This is an opportunity to helpfully point out those unwritten rules to them, right? And a lot of these folks very much still need to learn the basics. A lot of really savvy, experienced grant writers in the mix this round. Some really cool proposals from organizations that are, having to make some tough decisions when it comes to their funding. So, but also some first timers as well that have come to us because they really want to learn the basics of grant proposal writing. Sometimes the stuff we see there's like an easy fix, or we can like point them in the right direction towards a funder, and we can make a big grant for them, and it can be very exciting, right? But a lot of what happens here is not particularly glamorous. We're reviewing administrative documents and making subtle comments on them, and it will be fun. You'll learn a lot, but something to keep in mind. If it's not just because you don't have mind blowing, game changing comments to make doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. Some mistakes to keep an eye out for. This is a question I get a lot. What are the mistakes people are making? Try to go through this very quickly. And I've written a blog post, and I've talked about this on a couple different podcasts now, so you can listen to that more in depth if you want. First, they're not necessarily making a mistake. Funding is hard. Lots of grant proposal programs are receiving hundreds of applications, and they can only fund a couple dozen programs, so they're making a lot of tough cuts. And the people who are getting cut run great programs and wrote great proposals. They just didn't happen to meet the narrow criteria, or no particular reason sometimes. The best you can do there is, give your best advice, give your best comments on what you've read. Funder fit is the main mistake we see a lot. We do see folks who've applied to a program and that's why we try to make sure to include the RFP for all of these programs so that you can see where these groups applied. They weren't a good fit for that application. And you can see in the application, a little list, we fund this sort of thing, and they're not a good fit. But they applied anyway. A lot of programs really need funding, don't necessarily understand how important funder fit is. It's very important in my experience here. And I think lack of alignment with funder strategies is a big part of this. And so if we can point that out to them, get them set in the right direction, we can end up having a good positive impact on their future. Similar vein there, they sort of failed to consider, they get wrapped up in their own program and describing their own program and storytelling and their numbers and their impact and making their case, right? You really need to spend some time thinking about the other applicants. What are they writing? What cases are they making? Right? Whether or not you know them or are working with them, or are you, what is your field in the landscape? And also to spend some time thinking about who's reading these proposals, right? Like, who is this, a small program, these employees at a company? Like, put yourself in the shoes of all the people involved in your funding program is a good tip. And a lot of the folks who send us proposals have really sort of had the blinders on when it comes to their proposals, and it comes through in their proposals. And this is an opportunity. We've got outsider perspective. We can point that out to them in a nice, subtle way that can help make their future proposals more empathetic and therefore more compelling. Sometimes the requests are pretty unrealistic, or the questions are unanswered. Like, sometimes we do see, like, the question is completely unanswered, or they answered it wrong. Like, they copied the wrong, like an answer to some question, but just not that question. Sometimes this is one of those times where you want to give feedback to the funder. Some of these application forms can be confusing to look at, and that can be the reason why it was skipped. Feel free to include that when you're responding to that prompt. Sometimes programs are fundamentally ineligible. This goes beyond funder fit. Like, you might be in the wrong geographic area, or like you're not a C3, or like you're fundamentally ineligible, like you never would even get considered for that opportunity. And they still applied. Programs don't give feedback, so these applicants who are ineligible end up just applying again and again and again, really wasting their time. We can save them some time at the very least. Other times it's just sort of they did the form incorrectly. It's the wrong attachments or something like that. And other programs really shouldn't be wasting their time with grants. Grants is not the only way to fund programs. Lots of nonprofits can raise their money from individuals, or from earned revenue, or from ticket sales, or from events, or other things, and spend too much time applying for every single opportunity. And we sometimes see those proposals as well. There's also lots of typos that get made, lots of confusing answers, lots of other mistakes. I wouldn't get too wrapped up looking for mistakes. Read the proposals, focus on our prompts, leave helpful and candid comments. We have 100 proposals this round, which is a lot. I actually wrote them as the round was going. I wrote them all down on a list here. I don't know, David. You're not gonna like this, David Jeffy. See if we can get that in the frame. I thought I had the right like size, but ended up squeezing the page a little bit. We had 5 different ways that proposals could come in this round. So these were either new submissions, brand new organizations that came to our website, returning submissions, so groups that we've reviewed in the past that came back to us with new updated proposals. That's very exciting to review that. Worked with them in the past. There's the Maine Association of Nonprofits. They've shared our call. If you're a nonprofit in Maine, our home state, you can be reviewed for free. We have 4 groups from Maine that we're reviewing this round, and we had 8 in the spring, so 12 this year. It's fun for me in my home state. We also have a bunch of new evaluators that have joined the committee that are from Maine, so slightly larger footprint here than we did when I moved home a couple of years ago. Most of our evaluators are in DC, but in general, you do come from all over the world. In particular, this summer, lots of new folks. We were mentioned in some media and press appearances, and we had lots of new folks who've come from a lot of different kinds of backgrounds. Very diverse committee. Every proposal that you're commenting on, there's going to be at least 10 other reviewers who are also commenting on that report. So you don't have to write everything. Feel free to just focus on how you can be the most helpful there. The Maine Association of Nonprofits brought us 4 proposals. There's also Next Gen Giving Circle, who we're working with for the 4th time, I think. It says 3rd round, but maybe this is, I don't know. It's at least the 3rd round. And in the previous round, we gave them a bunch of feedback on their application, and they have updated it. So the proposals, we have 9 DC-based groups who are working on economic justice or housing justice or some other form of social justice issue, racial justice, immigrant rights. Generally very progressive proposals from very small groups. There's a mutual aid, Ward 6 mutual aid in there. Some really cool DC-based proposals that are doing some very interesting and important work right now in my former home. And the application that they all filled out was informed by our feedback. So this is one of the first times that the funders actually changed their application based on our feedback. So that'll be fun to be able to read those. If you're in the DC area, you probably got assigned one of those. They'll be working with us again in the spring, and you'll be able to meet Next Gen Giving Circle members and leaders at our event, Reviewers United. It's our annual event in DC that we do in partnership with Spur Local. That's March 7th. It's plenty of time. If you're going to be in the DC area there, please join us. Free event. The food should be good. We'll be talking about proposals. Our big partnership this round is with Candid. Candid is a very large organization. If you want to do some independent research into the groups that you're reviewing, you should use their website, candid.org. One of the best places for doing research on the nonprofit sector. It is the result of a merger between Foundation Center and GuideStar, 2 large organizations in the space. And they are sponsoring proposals from groups in their capacity building programs. So these are all groups that have recently attended a capacity building training with Candid, and they have budgets under $1 million. They're all based in the U.S. They all have 501c3s, and they also have gold or platinum status, which means that they've given some additional information about their organization. They've been extra transparent. And about half of the 100 proposals we have were sponsored by Candid and done through their outreach. The other half came from either Next Gen Giving Circle, the main partnership, or their new proposals, or their returning proposals. And it all adds up to 100 exact proposals. And we had 99 for a while, and then one came in very late and got us to 100. I was very happy about that. Of course, we can't do this without evaluators like you. Welcome to our learning community. Your reviews are essential. We can't put a report together without your reviews. This is an important time, I think, in philanthropy's history. Some of the decisions that are made over the next few decades are going to determine how things are funded for the next few centuries. And we are playing a small role in that, right? Funders are changing their applications. People are learning reviewing skills through us. People are improving their proposals. We are having impact at an important time. You're part of that. If you come to our event in person, I'll be glad to meet you there, and you get to meet other proposal reviewer types. In a moment, here's some questions from other folks. Do our best to try to connect other folks. If you want to follow up with any of the people you're reviewing, let us know when you're reviewing. We'll do our best to try to connect you there. I know lots of people have gone on to have additional conversations with these folks and try to help them more. If you want to go find our report of the decade online about our first year, there's lots of information there about our first 10 years of reviewing, so including some of these highlights that you see listed here. A lot of the folks we've reviewed really saw very sharp increases in their fundraising, which is great. In fact, 87% of the groups that we reviewed increased their fundraising, and the average increase was 213%, which is way ahead of the field. And I'm not surprised at all. Good quality review is obviously going to improve your proposals. We know that from other fields. We've seen it here, and we really appreciate your help making that happen.